Welcome in. Welcome in. It is week 7. I don't know where this fucking season's gone. We're
Every year.
just
Every
flying
year,
through, flying through this thing, almost to the halfway point. So, yeah. But I will say the NFL did right on this week of games. There's a lot of really good matchups out there. So it feels like it's one of those weekends where there's gonna be a lot of teams that are scoring a lot of points. So good for fantasy purposes, anyways. So
hopefully.
yeah. You never know with the NFL. But so that being said, we're here to answer all your questions, get you ready for week 7, get some dubs this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. Our guy, Kanoa, Aloha, 12 team, PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. Drop 1 to pick up a kicker. Vidal, Warren, Spears, or Dak. I have Jordan Love, and running backs are Hubbard, Brooks, Tyrone, Rashad White, Chandler, 4-2 record.
It's going to be Dak for me. Just drop the extra quarterback.
You know what worries me about doing that? It's easy to have like a short-sighted memory, but last year through like the first 6 or 7 games, Dak was awful, and there was a lot of people like, "Oh, we're dropping him, we're moving on, blah blah blah." And as we know, like Dak went absolutely nuclear in the second half. Like I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but it's like the exact same time last year. Like we had the same thing. Everybody jumped off, and then Dak went absolutely off over the second half of the season. He was like the QB 1 or 2 over the last half of the season. But I probably would drop Jalen Warren. I mean, Jalen Warren hasn't really done anything this year, so he's not. And just looking at kind of all the running backs. I mean, Hubbard, Brooks, coming back, Tyron Tracy, baller, Rashad White, Chandler. I mean, Vidal. I mean, you have enough. I mean, I don't think you need, or even Tajay Spears if you want to at this point. But yeah, you're right. I don't think you need another quarterback. Yeah, actually, so I was looking at this. I was wondering. So last season for Dak, so he was over the first 7 games of the season. He was not a QB1 in one of those games. A lot of really bad games. Then they went on bye in week 7, just like they are now. And then after that, he came out of the bye, scored 29, 28, 38, 16, 32, 28, 17, a down game against Buffalo at 7. And then in the fantasy championship, scored 21 and then 18. Like, so anyway, you're right. I mean, I don't think you need another kicker if that's what you want to do, or another quarterback here. But I was just saying, like, I just thought it was funny. I was looking at that today.
History repeats itself, right?
I mean, this offense should be better than what it is. I mean, they still have CD, they still have Jake Ferguson. Their defense is really bad, and so like it should force them into a lot of passive game scripts. But yeah, but I get it. People that want to drop them.
I mean, one of those running backs are going to end up getting dropped once Brooks gets activated anyway. So
I don't know. Like I'm starting to wonder if that's gonna, like, at first, like if you would have, like, at the beginning of the year, that was my 100% stance, was like, yeah, for sure. Like once he comes, when they finally get him active, he's just gonna take over the backfield. But I don't know if that's good. I mean, Chuba Hubbard has been a baller. Like I don't know how you put that GD back in the bottle at this point.
yeah, I mean, eventually, like he's not going to just straight up drop him from his IR, is what I mean. Like one of those guys is going to get dropped, and then we'll have to see what happens with Brooks.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm following you. AP, I'm 5-1. I have Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Kyron, Javonte, Justin Jefferson, Ladd, Lockett, Dobbs, Ridley, Keenan, Little, Goddard. Getting offered Cook and Deontay for K9 and Goddard. I don't want to move off Kenneth Walker, to be honest. I mean, he's been a top 5 running back this year. And the amount of targets down he's seeing, like that's kind of been like the cheat code unlock thing that we were hoping for. Like I talked a lot about it over the offseason, was like, as they had talked about, wanting to get him more involved as a pass catcher. We didn't really know if it was going to come to fruition, and it really has come to fruition. And he's basically taken over the back. I mean, Zach Charbonnet is now just like a simple change of pace back. And the really good stuff, like Kenneth Walker's really starting to be involved, like late in games when they're down. So like use him as a pass catcher there. So it's really tough for me. Don't get me wrong, Deontay's been a baller, but I'm nervous that they're gonna go back to Bryce Young at some point, which worries me. Deontay could get traded as well, so I don't know. Like I like Deontay Johnson a lot, but I don't think I would want to move off Kenneth Walker.
Is there like a wide receiver 2 that you would prefer to go after, or like a wide receiver 2 that would make you feel a little bit better about moving off of K9? I know you said you don't really want to move off of Walker, but is there one you think that AP could go after instead that would make you feel better about it?
I just wouldn't trade Kenneth Walker. I would try to go after like Brian Thomas. I think would be an easy target after a little bit of a down game last week. Um, but he was still targeted 6 times. But Brian Thomas would be a guy I think you could look at. It was a much tougher matchup for him, but like I don't think it would cost a lot to get him. But I think Brian Thomas is probably a top 20 wide receiver easily for the rest of the season for me. Um, 'Cause the thing is, the running backs have been cheat codes this year, right? The running back have been like the things that you want, and where wide receivers really haven't been as much. And like we've seen it kind of shift a little bit back to the running back position. And so I'm not wanting to move off of running backs if I don't have to. Like and so like when you look at the team you have, like I get it. Like once you get past Justin Jefferson, like it's really not great for really any of these guys. I know Keenan Allen scored a couple touchdowns, but that's not something I would expect every single week from him. Ridley's been really frustrating. Um, Dobbs is what he is. Lockett's just, Lockett's almost droppable depending on your league size. I mean, Ladd, he's seeing like a really healthy target share, but it's a really low volume pass offense, so it's not really as good as what it looks like. But I think I'd go after something like that, maybe a T Higgins or like. But I don't want to trade Kenneth Walker. I would rather trade like a Josh Jacobs. Go to somebody that needs a running back because that is a little bit of your strength, I guess, a little bit and just try to trade straight up, Josh Jacobs for somebody else and be able to keep Kyron and Kenneth Walker.
I'm with it.
ET, ATFA fam, and not PPR. I have Bijan and Monty as my running backs with Debo and Evans as wide receiver. Need a flex between Bigsby, Hunt, and Jameson Williams. If Travis Etienne is out, it's going to be take Bigsby.
I would agree, but he did get in a limited practice already today. So I'm assuming he's going to play, and then I would go JMO.
I would go Kareem Hunt, but yeah, that makes sense.
I just worry a little bit with Hunt. We saw Carson Steele get involved again. Didn't realize it, but your boy Clyde got in a full practice today.
Yeah, I was going to say they activated his practice. They opened up his practice window.
Yeah. So obviously he doesn't. Not a guarantee that he comes back this week.
But the thing I will say, now it is a limited sample size that I talked about in my video I did today with Kareem. I still think he's probably a start, but he's been just as ineffective as he was last year. So his efficiency, like his 45th in yards created per touch, and he has 0 carries, 10 plus yards. Now it's only 2 games, so that's not as big of a deal. But he's only averaging just over 4 yards per carry, which is 31st in the league. But he is seeing goal line work, but I think he's probably still a viable option. But also, while he's averaging 20 carries a game, he still only played 50% of the snaps. So like that's a little bit like, so for me, like it's not a bad matchup. The 49ers are like middle of the road against running backs, so it's not a terrible matchup. But I think in a non PPR, that's where I think Hunt I think is a little bit better touchdown upside. Jameson Williams is a little bit more boom or bust in that regard.
Yeah, but in this matchup, the matchup go boom.
Very well could. Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of the games, the Lions and Vikings game. It really looks real tasty. Not good at fantasy. 3-3 and got Puka plus Nico on IR. Could I trade Achane and Nico for AJ Brown or Ramondre, or just wait out their IR stats? I'm also hesitant to trade Achane because Tua could be back next week. Yeah, I really would want to move off Achane. Like it's become, I mean, obvious that Tua just kind of unlocks this offense because obviously he's just a functional quarterback. And so, yeah, I wouldn't want to move off Achane. And I mean, Nico, I mean, he's got 2 more weeks left after this of being on IR. It sounds like from all reports early that it was going to be the minimum stay on IR. So they thought he'd be ready to go once the IR stint's over with. Like, I don't necessarily hate it, but like the trade you're out. But like, I feel like though you could really, really end up regretting it trading Devon Achane. And then, which I mean, AJ Brown's a stud, but Ramondre is super boomer bust. Like he's either put up RB1 weeks or he's like not even an RB3.
Yeah, and he's hurt right now. I honestly feel like you're giving up both of the best players. Like I think if Nico were healthy, obviously he's not right now, but if Nico were healthy and we were like redrafting for the rest of the season, I think there's a chance that Nico goes ahead of AJ Brown.
If they're both healthy, I think he was the wide receiver 1 or 2 whenever he got hurt. I think Jamar Chase jumped ahead of him because he had that 40-point game, but it was still very close. It was only by a couple points. But I mean, Nico Collins was balling before that happened. So, and good news is, I mean, Puka probably is back, and then within probably a couple of weeks. So, if they decide to bring him back, depending on where they stand, because I mean, it sounds like Cooper Kupp sounds like he's going to play this week as well. As basically kind of said, we'll see how practice goes this week, see how he does. He kind of got some work in last week, and he said he felt good. So, if he is, that would be a big boost to that offense anyway. So,
yeah, he was limited today.
Yeah. Also, only need to get 6th in a 10-man league to make the playoffs. We're currently 7th because of tiebreakers points to give you an idea. I mean, it's still early though. I mean, it's week 7, so I mean, you got some time. I mean, and really, you just need to get some of these guys back. And like I said, Nico should be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and then Puka hopefully is back soon. Ronnie D evening full PPR flex. Higgins, Bigsby, Ray Davis, Cook is out. Also, James Cook's not going to be out. I mean, he returned to practice today. I mean, pretty much if someone returns to practice on a Wednesday, I feel pretty confident they're going to play. Because usually that's just a day that a lot of players just sit. And so, James Cook.
Unless your name is Anthony Richardson.
Well, I also wonder if how much of that is like actual like, hey Anthony, why don't you just take one more week off, man? Just
let's make sure you're good.
Yeah. It's absolutely why like Joe Flacco doesn't get the roses that he deserves considering how well he's played the last 2 years and how old he is.
Yeah.
Like
ripping it.
I mean, he looks phenomenal. And like I'm surprised a team didn't give him a starting opportunity this year. Yeah,
this one's easily going to be Higgins for me.
He's 39. When does he turn? So he turns 40 in January. So good for you, Flacco. But yeah, easily T. Higgins for me.
Okay, what you got for the defenses?
Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry, Ronnie. Also, this is the Bengals.
Yeah.
Because I have the Bengals at DST 3 for me. Wait. It's a great matchup against the Browns. And now that not that Amari Cooper was doing anything, but he's just not now involved in the offense. So it's just going to make that team even worse. So, yeah. Bengals are just a smash play. Much love there, Bo. Drake Mayer with Kyler Murray, and this is where we're at with Kyler Murray. I just made a move for Pop Douglas too, so I'm looking to stack him. I don't actually hate this. I probably still go Kyler Murray, but I have Kyler Murray as a QB 15 this week. But I still probably am not going Drake May. It's tough though because it's a really good matchup for the Jaguars. For the Patriots against the Jaguars. The Jaguars defense has just been incredibly bad, and so like it's not a terrible spot. I mean, and Drake May does provide something on the ground. I think he had like 38 rushing yards last week, but I probably still go Kyler. Like I'm not that afraid of like the Chargers defense or anything like that. It just feels like a really gross low scoring game because both these offenses really because Drew Petzing just goes 6 to midnight just thinking about running back schemes and just how he can run the ball, whether they're down by 20 points or not. We're still running the rock, type of stuff. But I probably would still go Kyler.
I'm assuming if you picked up, or if you're looking at Drake May, he's probably not available. But if like Andy Dalton were to be available, like if he were dropped after last week,
Or Sam Darnold. A lot of people drop Sam Darnold because of their bye week. And I actually, so I'm in a very similar situation. I have Kyler Murray myself because I was a big Kyler Murray truther. I should have factored in Drew Petzing being an idiot. But I actually picked up Sam Darnold. I have 7 bench spots. So it's a little bit easier for me in our league to be able to kind of manipulate that where other leagues don't have that many bench spots. But if you do, that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I'm going to write it out because Sam Darnold's up like next 4 or 5 games are phenomenal. Like just you couldn't ask for a better run of games that he's going to get because he gets Detroit this week and then the Rams, which are awful, the Colts, which are awful, the Jaguars, which are awful. Like
wow.
Yeah, like it is wheels up for Sam Darnold the next 4 games. And so like that's what I did. I went out and picked up Sam Darnold to do because the Cardinals have some really brutal matchups coming. I think it's like the Jets and the Steelers or something like that too. So I'll be out on that. But anyway, I probably still go Kyler on this one. But you got big enough balls to do it. I don't hate it.
I think I'm assuming Marv is going to be out.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if you have the cojones, you want to put your nuts on the table, I'm not going to stop you.
Trade Breece or Kyron for Neighbors and Pollard. My running backs are Kyron, Breece, ETN, and Brooks. My wide receivers are Jefferson, Deontay, Dell, and Waddle. 12-team Superflex redraft. I don't. Well, you get Pollard back in the deal though, so makes sense. This actually helps out a little bit. I don't know if I would want to trade Breece because they actually heavily went back to him last week. Like he had like an 80% snap share or something like that. Handled like 75% of the attempts. They got him involved in the passing game as well. So I really don't want to trade Breece, but I also don't really want to trade Kyron.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Man,
I would say though, like, do you really need the upgrade? I mean, just Jefferson. Deontay's been a baller. Tank Dell finally looks like a decent wide receiver again. And then I think once Tua comes back, Waddle will once again be usable. Like, I don't know if you like necessarily because what's going to happen is like, yes, now you have another rock solid wide receiver, but then like there's still like, I mean, Tony Pollard still, I mean, he's good, but he's not putting up those type of numbers for that you're getting rid of for the running backs. But if I absolutely had to make a decision on who would be, I would trade Kyron.
I think I'm with you, man. I think I would hold. And then if you really want to upgrade at that, that wide receiver 2 spot, which, like you said, is debatable, I'd wait until Tua came back and then try and do like Waddle and ETN. You mean wait until Waddle's price goes up? I mean, even like sell high on Dell. You mean try and do something that way?
So Monty is solid, right? Monty and Gibbs have been like 17 and a half fantasy points per game between the two of them so far. Dobbins' usage is trending upwards to the point where he's starting to look like a low end RB1. That is possible for him. not really being as involved in the passing game, which is kind of frustrating. But um, I mean, I would rank them Monty, Dobbins, then Pollard.
Yeah. But if you're trading away, a top 5 running back to give Pollard and then to immediately flip him to get a better running back in return, I would just hold.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a big enough need for the other wide receiver spot to do it. In
I
my
don't, I
mind.
don't know if that juice is worth that squeeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feel me?
Gabriel, good evening. Full PPR. Monty, Dobbins, Deontay, Terry, McLaurin, Malik, Chuba on my bench. Should I put Chuba in or no? Yes. Crazy as it sounds, I would play him over David Montgomery. I have Chuba Hubbard at RB9 right now this week. So I have Hubbard at 9. I have Monty at 15. Because Monty's
where do you have
what?
Dobbins?
RB 11. Chuba's has been phenomenal. Like, I get it with Dave Montgomery, but this is a stone cold worst matchup for on the ground for the Lions running backs this week. And so, where I have, oh, there they are. Okay, so the Lions, the Lions defense, like I said, has been a lead against the run. They've allowed the 4th fewest runs, the fewest touchdowns, and the 2nd fewest fantasy points to running backs. And so for me, like this just feels like a spot where it's much more of a Gibbs game because Monty's only seeing a very low target share. Like last week, Gibbs saw an 18% target share and Monty only saw a 3.7% target share. And it was actually Gibbs who actually outsnapped Monty. He played 53% of the snaps. Monty only played 33. Monty got there because of those 2 touchdowns that he scored. But that's pretty much how it's been all year. Like Monty hasn't really been involved in that much as a passer. And so if he's not, like in this type of game script and game environment, I'm just not as excited about, especially in like how good the Vikings defense has been against the run. And so like you've been able to beat the Vikings through the air. If you can protect your quarterback, and that's kind of been the other thing. Like they've done a really good job of getting pressure on your quarterback. They're like top 3 in pressure rate on the year. And like top 5 in sacks, and that's with a bye. And so like that's how you beat them, though. And so like I'm just much more on to Gibbs than I am Monty this week. And Monty could end up falling into the end zone. I mean, definitely possible. But I just think the other 2 have just a better upside. I think Chuba just has better upside.
You convinced me. I'm sold.
Good luck this week. Sit full PPR, Devontae, Adams, or BTJ, Eckler or Tyrone Tracy, and then Richardson or Geno. So I'm the first one that's just a slam dunk easy one for me. It's going to be Geno Smith. I have Geno Smith as QB7.
Geno, Devontae, and then probably Eckler, assuming that Singletary's back. And I think he had gotten a limited practice today, so
I know it's not going to happen because Brian Dable just loves Devin Singletary. But after what we've seen the last 2 games, there's no reason Tyrone Tracy should not be this team's starting running back rest of the season. As good as he's looked. Like I know this last week was a decent matchup, and everything else, but still, like he looks phenomenal for them. And like they don't have like Devin Singletary is not explosive. Like it should be like Tyrone Tracy's seeing 65% of the snaps, 65% of the touches, and then you can give the other part of it to Devin Singletary. I think is how it should go, but it probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to hear that, Tyrone Tracy has earned a bigger role in the offense, if something like that from a beat reporter comes out, I would go Tracy over Eckler, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately.
I definitely think he's still going to have a role because he had a role prior to Singletary getting hurt, but I don't know what's going to happen. And so, like, he just makes some kind of a risky play. though he should be, like I said, the starter. But I'm not Brian Dable. I'm not an NFL head coach, so it doesn't really matter what I think. And so, yeah, I think Eckler would probably be the smart choice there. And I probably go Devontae. I love Brian Thomas, but I don't know exactly how this is all going to play out, at least week one. But I mean, I know that this thing is Devontae has really good familiarity within this offense and a lot of the stuff that they do. And so, like, it's going to be a pretty seamless transition for a lot of other wide receivers. You probably like Amari Cooper is a good example, who's going to have to probably come in and try to learn a new offense and all the terminology. So chances are they're probably not going to play as much week one. It's going to be very vanilla and the thing that you ask them to do. Where Devontae can just kind of drop them right in, and he can pretty much keep it rolling. And so I would go Devontae Adams.
It's going to be Adams getting peppered with 11 targets is what's going to happen.
And just the cut to the sideline of Garrett Wilson just punching air.
Yeah.
Being real upset. Yeah. Gator fan, hey guys, would you rather have Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson the rest of the season? And who would you drop to pick one of them up, Juwan Jennings or Jalen Tolbert?
I'll start with the drop. It's going to be Jennings. Now, if this is just like a bench stash, probably go Watson over Dobbs.
I would agree. I think he has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was going to drop somebody, it probably would be Juwan Jennings just because of all the other options they have. Tone Bear, 1-5, 10-team full PPR. Trade advice. I have Kyler, Kyron, CMC, Mason, Brooks, Dowdle, Irving, Olave, Puka, Ayuk, Deontay, Waddle, Worthy, Mooney, Laporta, Kraft. Is Mason Olave for CD possible or a trade like that for a bigger player? I doubt it that would be enough to get CD Lamb. And the reason I say that is, one, Chris Olave is out with a concussion. That always makes it a little bit harder to trade a player that's hurt. Two, people know that CMC is looming. And so it sounds like, CMC could be back in the next couple of weeks. And so, like, I don't think that gets it done at all. I know CD, you probably are, trying to buy low on CD, which I don't necessarily hate. But
yeah, I don't think that's getting it done.
With it being a 10-team full PPR, so like or being a 10-team league, I would bet that your waiver wire is pretty stacked. Because actually, somebody I work with today, he always comes and asks me for like advice on like what should do with his team and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, let me see, because he dropped a couple players. Like, who should I pick up? And I was looking at their waiver. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, how are all these players available? He's like, oh, it's a 10-team league. I'm like, oh, okay. But like, so usually, which is one of the nice things with 10-team leagues, that the waivers are a little bit more plentiful and like a little bit more options. And so, like, for example, this week, like, if you need to win, like, I'm not playing Kyler if I don't have to, in this spot. So in a 10-team league, like I've said, someone like Sam Darnold, Geno Smith sitting out there, I'm picking them up and I'm playing them over Kyler Murray at this point. Kyler Murray's just been really boom or bust. And you're also talking about possible no Marvin Harrison. Just doesn't look great for Kyler Murray in the spot for that matchup. So like doing stuff like that, because like we need to stack wins. And like I know you want to make a trade, that's kind of the question, but like it's kind of tough with some of the options you have, because like you can't trade Puka. Ayuk has been down. I guess you could look to flip Deontay Johnson if you wanted to. Running backs, obviously, Kyron Williams has been really good. And then, Jordan Mason, like I've said, you might be able to trade him for something, but he's also dealing with an injury, with the shoulder injury. I think he probably plays this week, but still. And then the rest of your, the rest of you, so you don't really have a lot of great, I guess, trade assets right now. I guess I would put it that way. Maybe flip Sam Laporta, someone who's really looking at tight end. Especially coming off the week he just had the 50-yard touchdown that he scored. Maybe you could take something like that with him, and I don't know.
Maybe something like Bucky and Ayuk, just like off of name value, potentially gets it done. But then on the flip side of that, you're trading for a player that's on bye week and you're sitting at 1-5.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really obviously having CD on that team with those wide receivers would be a help. That's not going to do anything for you this week.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on Kyler. I would also look to drop him and pick somebody else up.
Gator pick with Cole Kmet on a bye. Who would you pick up to fill in? Ott and Juwan Johnson fan, or it's Kate Otten.
I would go Kate on here too.
Gatlin, my Saquon for Mason and Devontae Adams. Half point PPR. Other running backs, Monty. Wide receivers, Ladd and Kirk.
I'm not doing that.
I want more than that. Like, again, Jordan Mason's only his shelf life is about to expire. And to be fair, like Jordan Mason has been fine. Like for what he's been, for like picking him up off waivers and all that stuff, like he's been more than serviceable. But he's not been great though either. Like he's been serviceable. Like he's not winning you weeks or anything like that. He's not involved in the passing game. I think he's like RB 16 or 17 in fantasy points per game. Again, stress the like obviously from what you got from him, like it's been awesome, but like he hasn't been great, and so I wouldn't want him. And like I said, in a couple of weeks, he's pretty much going to be useless because once Chris McCaffrey comes back, he's going to come back to the role of taking all the touches.
And even if he doesn't, it's not like Mason has been super involved in like the passing game either. So now you're going to be limited in his receiving role, which has been very little to begin with, and now you're going to be cutting. Let's say best case scenario, he loses 30% of his rushes, which it's going to be more than that. But now all of a sudden you're down to Monty as your only running back. I mean, I'm sure you have obviously something on your bench, but if you're only telling us Monty, the bench probably isn't great.
Yeah. I think the toughest part about fantasy football is a lot of times we want to trade, like we want to either trade for a star, right? Like, oh, I want to go get CeeDee Lamb, or I want to go get this guy. Where like you're so much better off if you're trying to get like small wins along the way of trading up for different players, right? So like going after wide receiver 2 versus going after like I'm going to go after this elite player that's going to take some large amount for you to be able to trade them. Like, and on this end, on this trade, like you're giving up by far the best player. And Devontae Adams is still going to be working in the confines of he still has Garrett Wilson there as well to take targets away from him. And it's still an offense that wants to run the ball really and be a little bit more slow paced because that's really what Aaron Rodgers wants. He wants to work the clock all the way down to nothing and everything else. And so they're not a fast paced offense generally. They have been a little bit more this year. I think they're like 16th in pace of play and neutral pass scripts, but still, like you're just giving up too much for that. What you'd be getting back. Triple Hunts. If you would have told me heading into this year that we're going to get a question that's Michael Wilson or Bub Means my wide receiver 2, I don't know if I would have believed you, but this is where we're at. But I mean, it's a tough spot here for the Saints offense this week. That it's going to be without Derek Carr, no Chris Olave, and then Bay, my guy, my dude, all offseason now is just all over Rashid Shaheed. Season might be over. Like we don't even know. We're waiting to see. Basically, get surgery tomorrow. They're going in, and it could be a 2 to 4 week injury. If it's just like I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to say this stuff. It's either a 2 to 4 week injury or it's rest of season for him, which would just be a killer because he was looking phenomenal.
I think it's safe. It's like a trim or like a cleanup versus a repair. If it's a full repair, then he's likely done.
Yeah. So hope for the trim part. I didn't even know it was that serious. Like I know that he was dealing with a knee injury, but I was not expecting it to be like that.
Yeah. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so that would be a shame because he was looking for. Anyways, that's not what the question was. Sorry. Michael Wilson or Bub Means, and so I mean it's really Bub Means the number 1 wide receiver for them this week because Michael Olave's already ruled out, and then so obviously so is Rashid Shaheed. So, but that being said, I still would probably go Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
Though I will say one positive is that Pat Surtain probably isn't playing this week because he got a concussion.
Correct.
And so that's a kind of a big blow to their defense for what they're able to do. Because generally you have that one side already completely locked down. So it makes it a lot easier where you can do like bracket coverage and stuff like that on the other side with your other two corners, and you could really just bring the house because you're not as worried about what can happen. And that's where they've been super aggressive with their blitz packages and everything. You're not gonna be able to do that. And so but it is still Spencer Rattler. So that being said, I would still go Michael Wilson.
Probably right.
And Bub Means going to score 20 points tomorrow. I'll have to think about it all weekend. JR, thanks for your help this past Sunday, Kevin. I pulled out a win by 3 points. I'm happy to hear it. That's what we're here for. I care more about that than my own pace teams. I'm in a 10-team league with no bench, kicker, or defense halfway yards. Wild. So I had Cup, Flowers, or Jameson Williams.
I mean, I think this question becomes who are you dropping? I mean, for this week, I definitely want Flowers.
Really?
If you have no bench, it's Flowers.
Interesting. So is your concern that let's just say the Cup plays. Is your concern that you think that he's going to be limited, that they're not going to?
I feel like that'd be the smart thing. And I don't know, man. The last time we saw Cooper Kupp try and come back from injury, he did not look the same.
Don't get me wrong, I really like Zay Flowers. I have Zay Flowers like wide receiver 13. So
and then assuming that Puka comes back at some point, that's a big blow to Kupp.
Yeah. I guess the only positive is for Kupp, though, is that they've already had their bye.
Yeah.
That's wild. So, do you have, Justin Jefferson? Do you have to, drop them? Because they're on bye?
Or just take the 0. Yeah.
That is wild.
That's really interesting. I'm very intrigued.
I am too.
JR, how many? I'm just curious. How many players do you start each week? Because I feel like if I went this route where there's going to be no bench, I feel like I'd probably want to have an extended. I'd want to do more than just the 2-2 in the flex, right? Or do you just keep it a standard starting lineup? I'm really curious. I have so many questions.
I'm trying to figure out who Tyler. Appreciate the super chat. I know the other one's probably Zach Ertz, but who do you think the other one is?
Oh, Zach Ertz, good call. Man, I'm gonna pull up.
I'm guessing maybe this was a voice talk.
Pitts.
Oh,
Otton?
maybe that's
Otton.
This has to be some sort of voice to text or something like that.
I'm gonna assume this is Otton or Ertz, since we're.
It would be Otton for me.
I would go Otton as well. Tyler, if we're not right,
yeah, feel free to correct me.
I thought you were making that about me when I was asking about when I was like, oh, if it's a regular 2-2 and 1, is he not? He gets what I'm saying.
No, I was saying that, and I was like, I wonder who that other one is.
I would assume that's on.
Yeah, appreciate the super chat. Tyler, let us know if we're not correct.
Yeah, thanks, Ty.
Yeah. Quentin, James Cook injury is scaring me kind of. What really should scare you though is what Ray Davis did. That's what would scare me. When it comes to James Cook.
I read that wrong, but boy, did I feel good. I loved Ray Davis.
And I will be the first to admit, I'm always quick to and I'll admit it, I'll take my L's. I wasn't as high on Ray Davis. heading into this, and I will give him his flowers. Like he looked really good, and like I mean, so like I definitely going to be a problem for James Cook moving forward. I do think that. Um, but the fact that James Cook was back at practice today is a pretty good sign of availability. And he was, I mean, he was possible to play all the way up until, so he was more of a game time decision. So he wasn't that far away from playing. So, but I'll say Ray Davis could be a problem for James Cook moving forward. Jude, play Broncos defense or pick up Commanders. This is easily Broncos. I got Broncos at like a top 4 defense this week.
Hey, Jude. Yeah, Broncos. Don't make it bad.
Do we think Amari plays this week? I do think he plays.
I think he plays, but I think it's going to be like in a limited fashion. He didn't practice today. So you're talking about someone who's being traded midweek, has to go to a new state, learn a new playbook, and he's obviously already behind the 8 ball, and then not being able to go through the walkthrough day.
I will say it is pretty typical that if you like when you join like a new team, obviously, that you probably don't play that next week. So it's definitely a possibility. I think at this point I'd probably say it's 50-50, but this is what I will say. I wouldn't play him on any of my fantasy teams. I would say that. Like I'm not playing him. But you probably weren't planning on playing him this week anyways, even if he's still on the Browns, because he should have been sitting. But Nino traded Mike Evans and Tank Dell for AJ Brown. I do got the Saquon stack now, but it really makes my wide receiver crazy with CD, AJ, and Cup. Yes, that is witchcraft.
Yeah, something that's like a 10-team league. I don't mind it. Evans is a little up and down. Tank Dell has done nothing until last week. Collins obviously coming back.
Yeah,
bye week out of the way for AJ Brown.
Yeah, I agree. Trade Bijan and Jaden Reed for Jamar and James Conner. I'm not doing that. But I'm also probably just too invested in Bijan Robinson, thinking that he's going to do more than what he is. I mean, he got there last week, scored a couple touchdowns or whatever, but we still saw Tyler Algier rush for over 100 yards.
Sure did.
I
think I talked about Tyler Algier as a start on our running back video last week.
You did.
I would take the Chase and Connor side.
It's just tough because Jaden Reed looks like, he could be a top 12 wide receiver rest of the season. And so, I mean, obviously Jamar Chase, but Bijan, I think better days are ahead, but I keep thinking they are. I mean, obviously last week is a vast improvement, but still, like seeing like Tyler Algier once again being more involved. I mean, on one hand, we just have to say that Tyler Algier is just a good running back. Like we can, say that, hey, like it's frustrating and all this other stuff. Tyler Algier, like this is now 2 regimes that this has happened with Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is not getting this monster workload, right? And so, but Tyler Algier is just a good running back too. I think if Tyler Algier was in the right team, like he could be a top 12 running back. Like I think the talent's there for him. It's just he's just continually, he's with Bijan Robinson. So
if it were him on the Rams and not Kyron.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're plugging Algier in every single week.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I do that. No, I don't know. The only thing that worries me with James Conner is I'm just like, injuries coming, man. There's an injury coming for him. Like he gets hurt every single year. But the other really frustrating with James Conner is James Conner's not involved in the passing game. And so like if this is a full PPR league, I don't want running backs that aren't really involved in the passing game. Because it just limits their upside. They have to score touchdowns or they just don't have good weeks. And so that's what worries me with James Conner. And so like when I have I'm sticking with my original statement. I wouldn't make that. It's just there's too much risk with James Conner. Obviously Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is a baller. But I think like just Bijan and Reed, like it's just I think I would rather have that side. And the other running backs are Derrick Henry and Brian Robinson. So to me, you become thin at running back by doing it. I mean, Brian Robinson has been really good. Don't get me wrong. Dealing with a little bit of an injury, but it sounds like he should be okay to should be able to play this week. We'll see. But you become pretty thin at running back at that point in my mind.
I would feel fine with Connor as my RB2/3 with that room.
Quincy, once you get Tyreek Hill as my wide receiver, is Lamb, Cup, Debo, Tank Dell, Mooney, and Juju. My quarterback is Tua. I got to drop a player anyways. I only carry 5 wide receivers. Who should I give up on a trade?
I mean, I'd try and see if I could sell high on but I don't think.
It would probably be Cup if it was me. I think I would take Cup just because with Cup returning and there's all this stuff coming around about it, people are going to be more excited about playing him being back. Maybe you take Cup and like Darnell Mooney, try to make it happen. Maybe a Juju.
I was gonna say sell high on Tank Dell and do Dell and Mooney if that could potentially get it done.
I don't know. I don't know if that would. Maybe.
Probably not, but that's what I would start with.
It's a fair trade. Jordan Mason, Tank Dell, and ETN for Kyron. I mean, if you're getting the Kyron side.
I would want the Kyron side, but I'd also ask for like a bench player on top. But I mean, I also wouldn't get greedy either.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Jordan Mason's going to be just a bench player here soon. And then Tank Dell and ETN. ETN has just been pretty. I don't want to say he's been terrible because he really hasn't necessarily been terrible, but he hasn't certainly been the guy that you were hoping him to be. And Tank basically just continues to eat into that rush share of his. But I will say though, the one positive is that Tank Bigsby's not being utilized as a pass catcher at all. He's seen one target all year, so that's positive. But still, I would much rather just want the Kyron Williams. Curtis, Jaden Daniels are hurt this week. It's gonna be Jaden Daniels for me.
Oh boy, it's gonna be Jaden Daniels for me too. Try and trade one of those, Curtis.
Yeah. Jude again, starting London, Flowers, Pollard. Who should I flex, Hunt or BTJ? This is going to be Brian Thomas for me.
Yeah, I would take the swing with BTJ.
Nino, drop Mooney or Juju. Need one more of an upside play between the two. Would that be Juju to keep in case he has Rice roll? He definitely has the Rice roll. Like that's not a in case he has. That is exactly what he has. Now, is he going to be seeing the Rice target share? That's a different conversation because he's definitely running Rashee Rice's routes. Like that's exactly what he's going to do. Honestly, that's what whatever they brought Rashee Rice at. That's exactly what I said was he's playing the Juju role because that's the same role. And so yes, that is exactly the role he's going to be playing. I don't think he's going to see the target share that Rashee Rice saw, but the upside's certainly there for Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, it's really at this point. I mean, Xavier Worthy, who Andy Reid always brings his rookies along slowly, and so I don't know. I don't think Xavier Worthy, and I may be wrong on this, but I don't think at all there's going to be a point this year where we're like, man, Xavier Worthy is the guy. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Just the way that they utilize him and everything else, and I think Rashee Rice was out of just being desperate last year. Because if you remember the first half of the year, they didn't utilize him that way. Yeah. It was very limited, and so they only did it because they had no other choice. But I will still say they still don't have a lot of choices because it's Juju and it's Xavier Worthy and then it's Sky Moore and Justin Watson. You know what they're going to do, and I already know it, and I'm just dreading the tweet that's going to come across of they're going to sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And it's so tough because I was talking about this today, and I'm like, it's so tough being like a Chiefs fan. Like my whole life. But like now in this era, I can't really complain because like the Chiefs have been so good. So like me complaining about the team is stupid because I'm like I feel it feels kind of greedy. Anyways, so but I don't really. Why do we have to drop one of them?
Yeah, but I think the upside is with Juju. Just because of the role.
Yeah, but why? I guess why do we have to drop one of them? Can we explain that? 'Cause I don't want to drop either one of them. Like I love Darnell Mooney, and Darnell Mooney's doing exactly what we thought he was going to do and run 100% of the routes, be heavily involved in the passing game. Like I don't want to drop either one of these guys, but I guess you had to drop one of
them. Cup coming off of IR.
Okay, so do you have anybody else? Is there anybody else that you have that you can drop? Is it just these two? Is there any other like extra quarterbacks, extra tight ends, like anything? If this is your worst case, then good for you because you dropped a really good team. But if it was, I guess I don't know. Maybe I would just drop.
Nino said the bench is stacked, so I'm assuming no, we're not doubling up in one of the onesie positions. I'll keep an eye on it though if you want to jump.
Yeah. Would you trade for Puka, Devonta Smith, and Geno Smith?
No, I'd want to hold on to Smitty, I think.
I don't even know if we gotten a Puka update at all.
I don't believe so.
I haven't seen anything.
I think the only thing I've seen has been from
2 days ago.
Twitter doctors.
Puka, Sean McVay offered a update on Puka Nacua. Let me see. That is not an update. He just said he does not expect him to practice this week. Thanks for the clickbait. Great. I would bet he's probably out for at least a few more weeks, but yeah, I'd probably hold on to Devonta. Yeah, I don't know. Agree? Disagree?
Sorry, what did you say? I was scrolling through to see if I can find anything.
Okay.
What did you say?
You were a no on that? Trading for Puka?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Okay. Defense question. I saw you like the Giants this week. They look good. Would you start them week 7 over Chargers, Saints, or Lions? Thanks. Over the Lions, I would.
What was the Chargers, Saints, Lions, and what? The Giants?
So would you start the Giants over the Chargers, Saints, or Lions? I would play the Chargers and the Saints ahead of the Giants, but I probably would play the Giants, especially losing Aiden Hutchinson. That's just a big blow to that pass rush. It's a massive blow.
Yeah, I would go Saints.
Yeah. Would you rather hold Ford or Spears? I'd probably rather hold Tyjae Spears.
Yeah, I think at this point it's Spears.
I just hate the offense. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And I know there's people that are excited about Nick Chubb coming back this week, and I saw like his press conference today, and like I guess teammates were all cheering for him and stuff. Which is cool because I love Nick Chubb. Like Nick Chubb was like the best. Like there's no way anybody could like hate Nick Chubb. Like Nick Chubb is just like
phenomenal. I hope he balls.
And I do too, but I don't think he's going to. But I would love it if he did. But I just can't see it, especially how significant that injury was and everything else. Like I don't think it's going to happen. And their offensive line is absolutely decimated by injuries. So
it's happening.
I hope so because I love Nick Chubb. But Canoa start 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. Chase, Cup, Ridley, Pittman, Myers, Ingram, Hubbard, Tyrone, White, Chandler. Okay, so start 2 running backs. What are the options? Hubbard, Tyrone, White. So it's going to be Chuba for sure. The Aaron Jones thing is weird because Aaron Jones actually came back and he practiced on Monday because they do because of the bye stuff. You're actually allowed to come out and do some stuff on Monday, but then he didn't do nothing today. Or maybe it was Tuesday. But anyways, but he did not practice today, so that's a little bit concerning with his hip injury. Though I will say that's still not a good matchup. The Lions are terrible in this spot. So even if and then you have the Vikings who traded for Cam Akers. And Cam Akers played for this team, so he obviously knows the system anyways. So maybe that's a sign. I don't know of something bad, but I still would probably go with Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, Hubbard and Tracy.
Wide receivers are going to be Chase, Cup if he plays.
Pittman.
And Michael Pittman.
If Cup doesn't play, you have to keep an eye on it. Myers didn't practice today, so this decision might be made for you, Kanoa. But if he plays, I'd go Myers over Ridley.
What would you do in the flex?
Flexing Ingram.
Yeah, I would definitely. I would flex Ingram. Yeah, I don't mind the Myers. Is Will Reichert a good hold kicker for a few weeks? The Vikings are a strong offense and an easy future schedule. From Champagne, yes. Like I've already talked about, their schedule is phenomenal, and Reichert's been good. I talked about it on the show I did this or the video I did this week. Like players like Austin Seibert and Will Reichert. Austin Seibert's literally the kicker 5, but he's the kicker 2 in fantasy points per game. The only reason he's the kicker 2 in fantasy points per game is because he didn't play the first week because he wasn't on their team. But since that point, he has been the kicker 2 on the season. He scored double-digit fantasy points in every single week, and he's only rostered 25% of leagues. I'm like, what is people doing with kickers? What are we doing right now? There's no reason Austin Seibert. I've talked about Austin Seibert 17 times in a row, and Will Reichert has been really, really good too. So, dude, I am invested in the kicker position. I went from to let the cat out of the bag. I used to hate kickers. And I was I think kickers are the dumbest thing ever in fantasy football. But I've embraced the role of doing this video this year, and I'm invested now in kickers. I know everything that's going on. I'm still once again, top 10 or something like that in Fantasy Pros for kickers on the season. And I'm just killing it every week. And that's the only thing I care about. I don't care about my rankings for quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. I just want to know where I'm at on the kickers. And so, yeah, I'm just killing it right now. I'm just way ahead of the game in terms of if it was a kicker only fantasy league, we would be killing it right now, boys and girls.
Love it.
So yes, Will Reichert is definitely a good option, and especially with their upcoming schedule, it's phenomenal. Kate, should I trade TJ Hockenson for Amari Cooper PPR league? I have Brock Bowers and Evan Ingram. I believe I have the best team in the league, and I want to top it off with Amari Cooper. Yeah, I no problem doing that whatsoever.
Yeah.
GV, I have Pitts. Oh, Pittsburgh D, and also I'm guessing that's what that is. Devontae Adams in the flex, halfway PPR. Would you pivot to another defense, such as Jacksonville, Washington, or the Giants? No.
No.
Oh.
I was saying, Kev, I know you love talking about kickers, but we don't need to.
John, what's up, guys? What's up, John? Hope you're having a good night. Brown or Bucky? This is going to be Chase Brown for me.
Chase. Yep.
Champagne again. I need to drop one to pick up a defense. Josh Downs, McConkey, or Pickens board. I would probably drop Lad McConkey. Josh Downs has legitimately been a top 10 wide receiver since he's been back.
Yeah. Things you love to see. It's probably McConkey, but the Steeler hater inside of me just wants to punt Pickens.
Oh, I've been meaning to ask you this. I can't believe I haven't asked you this yet. I need to know. Okay. I'm surprised that a rant hasn't happened or anything, but I got to ask you, as a Steeler fan, what the fuck are they doing? Why are they going from Justin Fields, who is 4-2, who's looked pretty damn good, to Russell Wilson?
I don't know. I think it's because Fields has looked like he's looking okay. He's had his moments. It doesn't make sense to me to do this when you're sitting at 4-2, but it's I don't know.
Like, to me, like, it would make sense if, like, Russell Wilson was, like, in his prime and, like, it was, like, their franchise quarterback. Like, I understand that you're gonna go back to
First
that
time
guy.
when they gave a big contract to, or
Yes, they're not giving him anything. I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Like, Justin Fields hasn't done anything to lose the job. And so, like, to me, like, it's just like it makes no sense. And Russell Wilson is you go from a mobile quarterback that can move around the pocket and extend things, but their offensive line is really banged up and not great. And now you go to an absolute statue back there because Russell Wilson is not the same guy that he used to. And it just changed everything. Like, I do not get this move whatsoever.
I don't know. Maybe Arthur Smith wants to unleash the passing offense, which is something he has never done. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't. And what's really gonna piss me off is whenever Russ has his like stupid fucking catchphrase. I don't know what he's gonna say, but there's definitely gonna be like a Pittsburgh Steeler related catchphrase that he uses that's just gonna thoroughly piss me off.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like, I was shocked when I saw that, like, this week. Like, there's not a lot of things that shocked me, but as soon as it came across, I was like, "What? What are we doing?"
Tomlin has had a hard on for Russ since he got here, so it didn't really surprise me because like even whenever it was brought up earlier in the year when he wasn't healthy, Tomlin gave one of his like patented just like weird responses. Like we don't deal and I don't know whatever one of his like weird sayings are, but like he always just like he's like, well, I'm not going to talk about that because he's not healthy, so it doesn't matter. And he like kept saying that. I'm like, this motherfucker is going to start Russ as soon as he's healthy, and so we got.
Absolutely disgusting. Anyway, sorry. I just been meaning to ask you that. Richardson, Cousins, or Geno? This is going to be Geno for me. I have Geno at 7, Cousins at 10. I have Richardson at 18.
Oh, go Gino as well.
'Cause you have to remember, like, the Seahawks are one of the most pass-heavy offenses in the league. They're like top 3 in passer rate right now, and so like they just continue to air it out. And like this is such a good matchup, them and the Falcons. Like this could be just fireworks in the dome. Waddle or Romeo Dubs? This is going to be Waddle for me.
We go Waddle as well, unless we get a report that I don't think we will, but unless we get a report that like Reed is going to be like limited after he got banged up last week. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. But if we were to get a report like that, then I would lean Dobbs.
And it does sound like Dontayvion Wicks is going to play. He practiced today, so
Yeah.
Jacob, would you trade Aaron Jones for Achane, McLaurin plus other player for Lamb, Hockenson plus Spears for Brian Thomas? Thanks. I don't think Hockenson plus Spears is going to get you Brian Thomas. If it did, like I'm doing it now. Like there's no like I wouldn't even think twice about it. I don't think maybe they will. The Aaron Jones for Achane, I would do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what the McLaurin plus other player for Lamb would be, but if you can make that work, I would do that too. But it depends on what the other player was.
Yep.
Start 3. Pop Douglas, Juju, Adams, or Bub. Thanks. I'm gonna sit Bub Means.
Sitting Bub.
It is a great name though. Bub Means. Love that.
I can't give him too much credit.
You know, I will say though that it's like a throwback to. It's probably you're gonna age me a little bit, but Natron Means.
I'm gonna
He's
say
played.
Natron. Yeah.
Yeah, he's played for the Chargers a long time ago.
What
That's when I was a kid.
Little mix between Bobby Brister and Natron Means.
Natron Means was the man. Jose, half-point PPR, Kyler, Brian Robinson, Gibbs, McLaurin, London, Laporta, Jacobs, Bench, Chase Brown, Cook, Ayuk, Higgins, Tyreek, Kraft, and Chubb. On IR, what trade can I do to put Chubb on my bench? I don't feel like I'm the person to ask about anything Nick Chubb related because I'm going to tell you just to drop him. I just like this team is like stacked, right? And so like I want Nick Chubb. Like, there's not a player that you have that I'm like, oh, I'll drop him for Nick Chubb. Like, if Nick Chubb was sitting on the waiver wire right now, right, and you could pick him up, I wouldn't drop any of these players for them. And conversely, if like Chase Brown was sitting on your waiver wire, you had Nick Chubb, I would tell you to drop Nick Chubb to pick up Chase Brown. Like, it's just I don't see like maybe your second tight end because you have two, but then at that point, like I guess that would be the only option. But I don't want to drop Tucker Kraft. But I also don't know what you'd be able to trade for him either at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think makes the most sense to because there has to be someone that needs tight end help in your league. So doing Laporta or Kraft, obviously, plus a player to open up some space would be the route. Like you said, like if I had this roster, and I love Nick Chubb, and I do like I just feel it down in my plums that he's gonna end up balling. I just like I'm not counting that dude out. But I don't know who I would drop from this team to get him. So I mean, it's going to be one of the tight ends plus. So the easiest thing to do just to go look and see who needs tight end help, and do it that way. But on the flip side of that, there's like nothing that stands out to me in terms of like, oh well, you can do this and then go improve at X position because that's a really strong. That's a really strong team.
I think if you could, maybe upgrading at quarterback too, like in the like I said,
maybe just drop Kyler and just go.
Yeah, but or like maybe be
QB.
able to take Kyler and trade him. I don't know and get something but I just find it really hard to believe that a 28-year-old running back coming off just an absolute brutal knee injury that he suffered, and everything that we know about running backs is that they typically don't play very well in their first year back, at least until the second half at the very least. And he's coming in at, whatever, week 7. I just find it, and especially with this offensive ecosystem that they have right now, their offensive line is in just a mess because they have so many injuries on their offensive line. So that offensive line is terrible. And I just don't think he's going to see the role that he saw previously. I think he's probably going to be split touches out of this backfield at some level. And so I just don't see a scenario where he comes back and he's just Nick Chubb again.
Jose did ask for a start sit here as well before we move on.
I would sit Josh Jacobs. I'm not playing. I just don't love the matchup for them. The Texans have been really good. Another player that's not involved at all in the passing game and also only playing like 50% of the snaps. So I would play T. Higgins over Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Javier, rate my team. What moves I can do? 10 team PPR, 2 flex, Purdy, JT, Brees, B-Rob, Pollard, Hunt, Swift, Cup, St. Brown, Reed, Marvin Harrison, and Joku Laporta. 2 and 4. It's wild out. see these teams. I'm like, this what? But injuries.
Yeah. What moves?
This is a tough one because Marvin Harrison makes it really hard to trade when he's got a concussion. So like, I don't think you can probably move him. Cup's coming back. Maybe you might be able to flip him. Like, do you try to sell really high on DeAndre Swift, who's just been a baller the last couple of weeks? JT doesn't sound like he's going to play again this week. He also missed practice today. That's not a great sign for a player that's been out for as long as he has, but we'll still see. Still have two more days to be able to see on that. But if he doesn't play, so
I mean, again, trading away one of these tight ends. With as bad as tight end has been, there has to be somebody in your league.
yeah, you probably
But
could sell the. I mean, hey, look at the target share that's going to be available to him now to like an Njoku, because Amari Cooper's gone.
yeah.
But also, I'd also just argue that like you just getting healthy, I think will be big enough anyway.
Yeah. But that's the thing that stands out to me is moving from one of those tight ends. You know, if you have to pair, like you said, with like a Swift, I think if you took Swift with one of those tight ends, like I think you could like climb up pretty high in terms
Yeah, and
of
yeah,
upgrading.
Laporte is probably the easier one to trade of the two.
Yeah.
But I just think at the end of the day with that team, I think just getting a lot of those guys back is going to help you more than anything. Quentin, if Cook and Amari don't play, who should I play from these people? Pop, Eckler, Just Hill, Mark Robinson, or Conklin? It'd be Pop Douglas for me. I have
Yeah,
Demario Douglas as a top 30 wide receiver, I think, this week.
it'd be Pop and Eckler.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Smitty, start two. Mason, Algier, Ramondre, Javante, Mostert. Assume that will all play. If Ramondre plays, I'm definitely playing him in this matchup against the Jags. And the other one would be Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
Though I hate it because the Chiefs have been absolutely elite against the run this year. They've allowed 2 fewer points per game to running backs than either team in the league. But yeah, I still would do that. Daniel, Mixon or Kamara rest of season?
Mixon for me.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, his usage has been incredible. And obviously, I mean, I don't think he's going to score 28 points a week, but it's still a really good offense to have, and he's going to have this entire backfield to himself. And I worry with as much as the Saints have just been pounding Alvin Kamara every single week, like how long is this man going to be able to hold up to this the amount of touches that he's seen?
Yeah. Better offense, better offensive line. I'm going Mixon.
Yeah. Broncos or Chargers D from Mecca. This is going to be Broncos for me.
Yep.
Okay, new offer. My Saquon for Mason and Cup. Need wide receiver and have Monty. No.
Still not doing it, Gatlin. The big issue here is the Mason part of this.
Yes.
Like you're not Mason, and like this could just be and end up being Saquon for Cup straight up. Like that's in the range of outcomes. Mason becomes absolutely worthless and borderline droppable.
Yeah.
That is in the range of outcomes.
Yeah, so this is a person that's trying to just flip and get rid of Jordan Mason before he becomes nothing.
Yes.
And you're trading Saquon, who's been, top 2 or 3 running backs the entire year. And you're also taking on the massive risk of Cooper Kupp and him a possible re-injury, not looking the same. This offense is completely cratering, just because this team has just been really brutal. So I wouldn't want any part of that. You could get way more for Saquon than that.
You don't want any part of this shit, do we?
Bijan or Kamara? Give me Bijan for me.
Bijan.
But it is close because I do have Kamara at 6. Because I just think there's a scenario where with all these guys out, that Kamara just gets absolutely peppered with targets. But I still would go Bijan. Fu Yang, who are we starting? Mason, Tank, Eckler, or Mostert? Doing Mason. Now, I will say if ETN didn't play, it would be Tank Bigsby. But we're probably not. If ETN practices again tomorrow, even in a limited, yeah. Harold, Broncos or Steelers? Broncos for me.
Yeah.
Though I could see the Steelers racking up a lot of sacks. That Jets offensive line does not look good. Should I drop Ty Chandler to pick up Christian Watson? I don't mind that. It worries me a little bit that they've added Cam Akers here.
I mean, a little bit, but I think that's probably more. I think it says more about Aaron Jones than it does Ty Chandler. Assuming you have the running back depth to do it.
Yeah. Cole, do I trade Amari for Daniels in a 12-team PPR 2 flex? If you can withstand it and you really need a quarterback, I'm fine with doing that. I mean, Jane Daniels has been a baller. Who do you have at quarterback right now? And what do your other wide receivers look like? What would you be left with by making that move?
That's what I want to know.
If you let us know, we'll get back to that. Should I drop? That can't be Deontay Johnson, right?
Wouldn't think so.
I'm assuming that's Dearness.
Dearness.
Let us know, Food, just because I just want to just verify that. Because if it's Deontay Johnson, it's absolutely not. Which I don't know why we would do that anyways, because he's playing this week. But I'm assuming it's Dearness Johnson. And so if it's Dearness Johnson, yes, you can do that. I'm guessing we probably picked him up because of the possibility of Travis Etienne out, and he'd be the pass catching back. So Quentin Mahomes will get a 20-point game finally this week. I can feel it. Yeah, it's been since week 12 of last year that he put up more than 20 fantasy points in a game. I keep saying it. I just fully, strongly believe that they do not care about the regular season. They just do enough to get through, and they just keep moving. But I don't know. They just coast in the regular season. So
yeah, the 1 year where I go early quarterback in best ball, and I end up with a lot of Patty and a lot of. I have like a couple Josh Allen and like a couple Jalen Hurts too. Like what?
yeah, I'll say with Mahomes, like the process was there when they had a healthy Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it was going to be stacked, and then no, I don't. We didn't see all these injuries coming. So yeah, it's been brutal for that. And I'm in a one quarterback 10-man redraft. I stashed Gino and have Jordan Love. Is it okay to drop Gino for Blake Corum? I have Kyron. Yeah, I think it's fine.
In a 10 team, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, especially one quarterback. Yeah, sure. Peyton, start one for flex. Ladd, McConkey, Tank Bigsby, or Brian Thomas. It'll be Brian Thomas for me.
BTJ.
Anime. I don't think we've seen anime in here. Maybe we do. I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen anime in here. But glad to see you all for this wonderful week 7 anime. Mooney or Amari in the flex. It's going to be Mooney.
Gonna be Mooney for me as well. Although I'd feel a little bit better about Amari if L'Jarius Sneed sits. He did not practice today, which we say it every week. Wednesday practice reports aren't the end all be all. It would still be Mooney, but just for like anyone in general, like if you had to start Amari, assuming he plays, I'd feel better about it if Sneed sat.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about it because Sneed has been an absolute dog.
Yeah.
Jack, should I start Chase Brown over Jacobs, BTJ, or just keep him on my bench? I would start him over
I would just keep him on the
Yeah,
on the
he is
bench.
still he's still kind of splitting touches a little bit with Zach Moss. I don't get why. Zach Moss looks absolutely dreadful, but um, yeah, I probably keep it Jacobs and BTJ. Puka's out for another month, so I dropped him. Hope it doesn't bite me.
I have not seen that. Not recently.
Yeah, I haven't seen any update other than Sean McVay the other day said that he is not practicing this week. So yeah, I was trying to see if there's anything else. I don't see anything. So Peyton start. Oh no, Sloan Scott, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we already had that one.
Glock guy,
Yeah,
super chat.
okay.
Appreciate you, Glock
No.
guy. Trade
Speaking
Hurts
of
and Deontay Johnson for Kittle and Connor. You running back depth have Tyreek and Adams at wide receiver, Najee and Achane at running back, or should I wait one more week? Who'd you have at quarterback? Did he say? No, I don't see where he says. I'm not doing that.
I think it depends. Who do you have at quarterback? Or who would you have? And then who do you have at tight end?
It's just
Would
like I said. I
be
mean, Deontay's been like a top 12 to 15 wide receiver since Dalton's
yeah.
taken over. So like he's been incredible. And I know Hurts hasn't been phenomenal this year, but he's still been better than a lot of other quarterbacks. Kittle, just always thing that worries me with him is just this is boomer butts nature. Like he's gonna win you the week, like we saw last week where he was a tight end one and scored like 25 fantasy points, or he's gonna get you 6. And so like he's just very boomer bust type of option. Oh, so he has Jane Daniels, a quarterback, Kincaid at tight. I do not like Kincaid at this point, and that I like him even less now they traded for Amari Cooper. They just spread the ball around so much. Um, keep seeing Dawson Knox be involved as well. So it's just frustrating. Like I would rather. So I guess I get it that that's why you're wanting to trade for George Kittle.
I think I would do it under these circumstances.
What do you do with Kincaid though?
Drop him. Ship him off for anything you can get it.
But what do you think that you could get it done for just removing Deontay? Like I guess if you're really wanting a running back, but I guess you really want. I guess he's really wanting the running back part of this equation. What are the running backs do you have too? I guess. Just because I'm curious of like I get it with Najee and Achane, it's not great. Um, it's just yeah, I guess if you had to do it, I mean you have the depth. I mean with Jaden Daniels, Hurts becomes pretty easily expendable. I just hate trading Deontay Johnson unless you're like stacked at wide receiver. And just telling me Tyreek and Adams doesn't really give you the whole picture of everything else you have. But I get it. I mean, you need another running back. Najee's not necessarily it. I know Najee's coming off his best game in like forever, but NHN's been struggling, so I get it. You need the help, and Kittle is definitely an upgrade over Kincaid, but I don't mind it. I just hate trading Deontay Johnson, who's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So Smitty or Tank Dell, wide receiver 2. This is going to be Devonta Smith, especially if Goddard misses. That just makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, Smitty for me. Appreciate you also, Glock Eye. Good to see you.
Chris, flex Javonte, Chase Brown, or Hemos for this week. This is going to be Chase Brown for me.
Chase.
What should I do with Nico? I have Godwin in London.
Hold.
Yeah, we're definitely holding.
Yeah.
Smitty, Diggs, or T. Higgins in the flex. This is going to be Diggs for me.
This would be T. Higgins for me.
Yeah, Diggs for me. Michael, Kincaid, or Schultz?
Gonna go Schultz. He had what, 8 targets last week? Or am I making that up? Yeah, 8 targets last week.
I probably slightly lean Kincaid, just slightly, but it is close.
Coward.
Start 2 at a flex. London, Higgins, Scary Terry, Brian Thomas, and Devon Smith. So London's a lock. London's a top 7 wide receiver, I think. Definitely top 10 for me. Scary
London
Terry.
and Terry.
And then flex,
Higgins.
I would go Devonta Smith, but I get that as well. Should I trade Chuba? I also have Brooks. If so, what should I try to get? I think it really depends on just whatever your team needs are.
Yeah. I also wouldn't want to, like, if Chuba is your clear, RB2 or something, and it falls off after Chuba, I wouldn't want to trade him just because. Dude's been really good.
Yeah, he's been incredible. Been a top 12 running back the last 4 games, I think it is. He's put up top 12 numbers every single week, not just he's averaged that. Like
Right.
he has been a top 10. Actually, I think it's top 8 outside of last week, and he was but he was top 8 for the first 3 weeks. So but I think it depends on what it is that I would look at whatever your biggest need is, whether it's a wide receiver, something like that, and try to flip it for that if that's what I was going to do.
And then find the team that needs running back help.
Yeah. Jaden Reed or Smitty for anime. This is going to be Jaden Reed for me.
Yep.
Aldo, should I add Vidal or I'm guessing that's Isaac Grindo? I don't want to drop Braylon Allen. I still think Braylon Allen is one of the best handcuffs there is. It did change in terms of his role, so he's a little less of a standalone value type player. But I still want to hold Braylon Allen. But if you can add one, it would be Kamani Vidal.
Yeah. But I'm with you. I don't want to drop Allen to do it.
Yeah, so Rich, and I get it with Rich obviously was a top pick last year, so like you're not just going to completely jump off him, and he hasn't been like Bryce Young level bad, but it's not been far behind in terms of some of the. I mean, he has turned the ball over at a really high rate. He hasn't looked great as a passer. The passing game has just looked non-functional, and then obviously you put Joe Flacco back there, and everybody looks so much better. But yeah, it is frustrating. Slapsky, 12-man PPR, 2 flex starters: Kyler, Henry, Brian Robinson, CD, Higgins, McBride, Wandale, Devontae, bench, Spears, Dowdle, Braylon, Wicks, Waddle, or Anana or Nico. Are we making any moves?
Probably looking to move off of Kyler if possible. A little bit harder in 12-man versus a 10-man like we were talking about earlier. But that'd be one of the first things I would look at is to see who's available on waivers. Then I would leave everything else the same. team should get a nice boost once two is back. Then obviously once Nico gets back from IR, that'll give you some more flexibility if you want to make some moves. You know, potentially get some running back help. But I think everything else looks good for now. Still a strong team too. With no with no Nico and Waddle being useless.
And just for like a little context when it comes to Kyler as well, the Cardinals have one of the worst rest of season schedules for running backs or for quarterback, excuse me. Like there's some solid games mixed in there. Obviously it's not all bad, but like it gets pretty rough, especially here coming up. So that's the frustrating part with Kyler because not to mention their offense hasn't been great. But so they get the Chargers this week, then Miami, which isn't terrible. But then it's Chicago and then the Jets, which are not great matchups. Then you go and buy. I will say their fantasy playoff schedule, at least, like once you get past the bye, like it's Seattle, which isn't terrible. Minnesota is not bad in terms of or at least moving through the air. But then from there you get Seattle, New England, Carolina, and the Rams. Like I will say their fantasy playoff schedule is phenomenal if you can get there with him. But this stretch of games coming up isn't great. So there's that. They said Russ was cooking the Pitts defense during practice, and they went to unlock Pickens.
No comment.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just waiting for it, like his catchphrase. We haven't heard it yet. We knew that maybe he won't have one because he just kept getting.
He's gonna have one. Did you see his like NFL headshot? Dude that has the eye black on. He's gonna have a fucking catchphrase. There's
Broncos
no way he doesn't.
Let's ride.
We need to move on.
Yeah. This is tougher. Because McLaughlin's been a dog too. He wasn't as good last week, but I'm gonna go with McLaughlin on this one.
Have a couple of questions here from Super Dave coming through with the super chat. Cheers to you, my guy. Think I can get Mostert and Shakir for JMO. Is it worth it in a full PPR? I want JMO here.
For sure. I don't know if you're going to get it done just because Mostert's been out. It hasn't really done anything all year. So that those things matter in terms of this. So it's Shakir. People are definitely going to be down on him now that they got Amari Cooper. And JMO's, has been pretty boomer bust, but still has had a lot of good games. I don't know if this gets it done. It's always worth a shot. Send it and see what they do.
Achane, JMO, Vidal for Chase, B-Rob, Chubb.
I mean, hell yeah. If I could get Chase and Brian Robinson and Nick Chubb for that, yeah, I would do it.
Yeah, but like you said, I don't think that probably gets it done. JMO and Singletary for B-Rob and Ridley. Now we're more in the ballpark.
So I'm assuming we're trading Jameson Williams and Singletary. Right?
I'm assuming.
So I don't mind that. Like, if Singletary does end up losing the job to Tyrone Tracy at some point. And Brian Robinson, that's not going to happen with him. But I would want the Brian Robinson side.
I think I'd want the JMO side on this one just because I think there's two usable players here. I don't feel the same way about Ridley.
I feel like they figure out some way to get him the ball at some point, and they just gave him some huge contract. He's kind of becoming a squeaky wheel. I just think Brian Robinson's arguably been, before the injury, was a top 10 running back. And so I don't feel the same way about that. And as good as, like I said, Jameson Williams has been at times, like he's still very extremely volatile. Like he's not sitting here just plugging in every week and like, okay, I feel great about this. And the if you let them, the Lions will definitely just run on you and not have to throw the ball as much, which has been the frustrating thing with Jared Goff. Now, that being said, I mean, James Williams he's still the wide receiver. Let's see. I mean, just looking at his game log, he's been a little bit more reliable this year, but he's done it again on really long touchdowns because if you look at his target share, you see 9 and 11 the first two games, but since then it's been 3, 2, and 4. So he's been living off that, the breaking off a long touchdown, which is obviously a part of his game. But how long can you expect that to continue to happen? So that would be my hesitancy with it.
This is rest of season. Reader Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Najee and Tolbert for Kittle. Yeah, if you can do that, I have no problem doing that if you need a tight end.
Yeah. I'm actually not sure if it gets it done, but I would do it.
Peyton, rate the team. Mahomes, Chuba, Brooks, Mason, CMC, Nico, Godwin, London, Brian Thomas, McBride, Fairbairn. Any moves you would recommend? I'm 2 and 4. Hold on.
Yeah, I think this team balances itself out, to be honest.
Because like trading CMC or Nico at this point is tough because you're not going to get good value for them. Because they're both injured. It's just not going to happen. Really can't trade Chuba with the running backs you have. You really can't. Mason's kind of in a similar boat. And then I don't want to trade Chris Godwin or London. Because what are you trading him for anyways? The most frustrating part is probably Mahomes in this scenario. Maybe you might be able to flip him, but like I don't think that's a needle mover. I think the best thing that you could really do here is probably just wait. Because like this team is good enough. You should be able to I mean, Godwin, London are top 10 wide receivers this week. Brian Thomas, borderline he's like a top 24 wide receiver. McBride, obviously very good. Fairbairn's the best. Well, besides Brad, he's one of the top 3 kickers in the league right now. And so, like, I think this team is good enough to we just need to scratch out a couple wins, and then you're gonna be cooking with gas once CMC and Nico come back.
I did just want to jump down here real quick. Once Chan and JMO for B. Rob Ridley and Dare.
No thanks.
Yeah. Chan, don't let this fool take advantage of your 2 and 4 record.
Yeah, it's trying to throw you some bumps. I mean, Dario Gumbawale is probably available in over 60% of most leagues. I mean, or if not higher. I mean, it's probably more than that. I mean, I'm probably giving him too much credit. It's probably like 80. It's probably 80% of leagues. So That's just like somebody picked up, and like I hate when people do that. They pick up somebody off the waivers, and then they try to trade him. Like I couldn't have just went and picked him up myself. Like if I wanted him that bad, like
You
I don't know.
should. You're week too late on trading Dare as well.
Yeah. So no, I would not do that. Buffalo D versus Tennessee or Chargers D versus Arizona. That's gonna be Buffalo for me.
Buffs.
Anyway, has Mark Andrews proved that he's no longer no? I mean, he finally had himself a week. That was my other call last week. Like he finally had like a decent game with his 14.1 PPR points. I did 3 last week, so no, he certainly has not hit that point. You skipped my question. No, we've answered. Did
No,
we?
we already. Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Then Lenny, yeah, I mean, you're obviously dropping Fields because it seems like he's not getting the start. So yeah.
It's probably gonna be Kyron.
I want to go Henry. Seems like they're finally clicking with that run game.
No, he's been really good, and I think there's definitely an argument to be made for either one of them, for sure. I'm fine with either way. Like I don't really slide with either one.
Yeah, we have been the Henry haters for the past 6 years. It feels like, and love Kyron, but he just does not have the same upside as Henry.
I think just in terms of the offense that he's in, yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think that because the argument still holds true with Derrick Henry is that he's not really involved in the passing game, and he has to get there with touchdowns. The problem is
He's getting there with touchdowns.
he has scored a touchdown in every single game, and that's the upside that he brings, right? That with this offense, everything else. So because he has what at this point 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has 8 touchdowns through 6 games. So actually 9 touchdowns. Sorry, short of my 1 receiving touchdown. So looks like he's well on his way to that 20 touchdown mark that people were hoping that he'd hit. So yeah, let's just both go Henry. I'm fine with it.
And Kyron hasn't been overly involved in the passing game either, despite all the injuries they've had, which I've felt is weird.
Yeah. Oh, we already got to solve that.
I think I do want some of that.
Over on Twitch. Hey guys, I have Burrow, Barkley, K9, Chase, McLaurin, Pitts, Downs, Mooney, Harris, Chase Brown. What should I package up for Devontae Adams?
It really depends on what that other team needs. I
Yeah,
think
because
you have.
I'm not trading running backs.
I was gonna say, I think Prime has more to spare in terms of running back, like outside of Barkley and K9. Like you at least have some names, some guys that have been producing, but it's really just going to come down to what that team lacks.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like at running back, at least what I'm seeing, like if you trade one of Barkley or K9, which is what you would probably need, which I would need something more included in that to get Devontae to trade for Devontae Adams at this point.
Correct.
You would have to get more for that for either one of them. But if you traded one of them, now you're just opening up a new hole because now you're going to be left with the other one and then Chase Brown or Najee Harris. And outside of last week, Najee Harris has not been great at all. And so, and Chase Brown is still splitting touches with Zach Moss. You become extremely thin at running back. Now, wide receiver, you have Chase, McLaurin, Cup, Downs, Mooney. Like, yeah, you definitely have enough there. But, like, I don't think you need Devontae Adams. Honestly, with this team, like, I would just, like, this is a team that I don't think you need to trade for Devontae Adams. You don't have a need there in my mind. I mean, Chase, McLaurin, Cup, as long as he can get back to being the guy he was, even still, you have Downs and Mooney, which is great assets to have. Running back, you're rock solid with Barkley and K9. I mean, that's two top five running backs for the season. I mean, you have the rare, like you have really, if we redrafted today, I think all three of those would be drafted in the first round. Like that's just definitely Barkley and definitely Chase, like Kenneth Walker. We were talking about that recently about like where if we were to redraft, where would you take him? And I was like, probably at this point, the way he's played, probably in the first round. If not, it's like a high second. But
Yeah.
like this team is really good. Like I don't think there's any reason you need to trade for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have Richardson at quarterback. My receivers are London, Smith, Wilson, Cooper, and McConkey.
I will scroll up and find that if you want to jump to the next one. I know that was a while ago. Oh, do I trade Amari for Daniels?
London, Smith, Wilson, Cooper. Doing this Garrett Wilson?
Assuming.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly okay with doing that. You need a quarterback. Anthony Richardson, I don't think is going to be it. D. Liddy, I'm 3-3 running backs for ETN, White, Bigsby, Ray Davis, Vidal. Should I drop Quentin Johnston, Downs for Tucker, Gibson, Benson, Estime?
Definitely not dropping Downs.
You could definitely drop Quentin Johnston if you need to.
Who do you want to pick up there?
Probably Trey Benson, just in case. This feels like the more clearer path. If something were to happen, I assume that if something were to happen to James Conner, that it would be Trey Benson. That would get the opportunities. But
yeah, it seems like if that's the case, though, it's only going to be if the Cardinals are trailing, because we saw the reemergence of Amari DiMercato in the passing game.
That was so fun last year when I pulled him out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, I was like a week early on him, before everybody was even on him, because I was going through and like search through all the usage and everything, and noticed he started getting a uptick in usage, and nobody was talking about him. Nobody had ever even heard of him. Anyways, this is why it takes me so long. Blame me, because I start going off on tangents about other things that don't need to be talked about. Froggy Man, Broncos or Vikings? This is Broncos.
Yeah, Vikings on bye.
Do what?
Oh wait, no, never mind.
No, Vikings are playing the Lions.
Yeah, that was last week.
Yeah,
Broncos regardless.
Yeah. AP getting offered London for Kyron straight up. Should I accept?
This is the team that has Jacobs, K9, Kyron, Javonte, Jefferson, Ladd, Lockett, Dobbs, Ridley, Keenan.
What were the wide receivers again?
Jefferson, Ladd, Lockett, Dobbs, Ridley, Keenan. So it could definitely use the wide receiver.
Who are the running backs?
Jacobs, K9, Kyron, Javonte.
That's tough. Probably Probably I'm okay with it. I mean, London has been really good like the last 4 or 5 weeks, but
Yeah.
it's tough trading a running back. You might try to like get like a smaller like bench stash piece, like running back. If they have one, Um,
Yeah, I still
see-
feel like Kyron is the more valuable piece here.
yeah.
So even
Or like,
if AP, if you had to like add, like a Dobbs or a Ridley or one of your like bench wide receivers to get like something little something in return there. That's what I would look for.
this is easily Brian Robinson. As long as he plays this week, they're playing the Panthers. The Panthers have given up the most everything to running back, so this is a phenomenal matchup.
Yeah.
Kanoa start 2, Tracy Eckler or Rashad this week, halfway PPR start 2. So it would be Tracy and Eckler for me.
Yep.
Be like Kanoa. Press that like, guys. Absolutely. If you could hit that like, helps the old algo, but also if you could just hit that subscribe button if you have not, we really thoroughly appreciate it. And that's my TED Talk. Let's see. Raphael trade. I don't know why I said it like that. London Mostert for DK Connor. That was weird. I don't know where that came from. 2 flex league. Current lineup is Burrow, James Cook, Chase Brown, JJ Wilson, London, Kelsey, Mostert, Ty Chandler, Char. Crap.
Oh boy.
I actually think I would.
Getting-
I think I would be okay with that.
Getting late. I didn't hear a fucking thing you said.
So trade London and Mostert for DK Metcalf and James Conner. Because to me, I really view this more so as just London and Mostert, or London for DK and Connor in my mind. Mostert doesn't really factor.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Rob, current expectations for Jonathan Brooks. I think my mind now, I think with the way Chuba's played, I just don't see where they move off of him and like all of a sudden Jonathan Brooks just taking over as the man, at least at this point for the rest of the season. And so like I think it's probably a scenario where Chuba continues to probably handle. You have to remember Miles Sanders has been getting quite a few touches on a week to week basis. At least he's been kind of the other guy. So I still think it's a scenario where Chuba probably handles 60%, maybe 65% of touches. Because also with Jonathan Brooks, I mean, you're not playing for anything this year. Do you really want to push him that hard? This could be a situation where you just kind of get him some touches, get him like activated in the NFL, and then he kind of takes over next year after he'll be another year removed from this injury. So that would be my lean now with him, especially now that they've kind of prolonged this. As long as this is going out before he finally plays, that would be my guess.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense too.
Should I start James Cook, Demario Douglas, or Ray Davis? Cook is injured at flex. If James Cook didn't play, I would probably go Ray Davis, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think James Cook is going to play. He did practice today in a limited capacity, so that is good news. So I would go Demario Douglas.
Yeah.
Mooney or Chase Brown at flex. I'm gonna go with Chase Brown.
Interesting. Man. I think I would go Mooney if I needed to like just swing for the fences, but I would go Chase Brown if I just needed if I needed save points.
Should I start Ayuk over Dell this week? I would go Tank Dell if it was me.
Yeah, I'm going Dell as well.
What's the best DST streaming option out of Saints, Commanders, Colts, Ravens, Jags.
Saints.
I agree. Who's the better rest of season stash, Corum or Ray Davis? It's gonna be Ray Davis for me at this point. With the way he looked, because I just think that he's carved himself out a role.
If we're talking stash, I would go Corum. But I think if you need someone to potentially plug in on a week-to-week basis, it would be Ray Davis.
Ashton start one running back, one flex. Sermon, JT have both. Mason, Bigsby, Waddle, Dobbs. So it's going to be if JT plays, which I don't know if he's going to now. I was kind of hoping he'd be back this week, but I don't know. I think it's 50-50 at this point. Really, tomorrow's going to be a big day. He did practice today, but we always talk about Wednesday's not that big of a deal because it's not. But JT, if he plays, and then I would go Mason in the flex.
Yeah.
If JT doesn't play, I would start Mason at running back, and then I would flex Bigsby. If this is going to be a long, if ETN was out, then I would play Bigsby. If ETN played, then I would go to Jalen Waddle.
It would be Mason and Waddle for me if JT doesn't play.
Yeah. Start Cade Otton or Dalton Schultz. This is going to be Schultz for me.
It's going to be Otton for me.
Yeah. Start Dell or Ayuk.
Dell. I think we had this one on Twitch.
Oh, that's right.
So
Ryan Myers, Zerline, or Bates rest of season. So I'm gonna say this: we don't want to play anybody rest of season. When it comes to kickers, I'm always team stream. Just stream them every single week. Unless there's some reason you can't get to pay for your waivers every single week or something like that. If it's just a typical league, I am just simply streaming the kicker position every week because none of these guys would be players I would feel great about having on had to lock in for the rest of the season. Unless you have like Harrison Bucker or Brandon Aubrey, obviously, or Kyrie Fairbairn. Those would be the guys that I would look at.
not like that, but I don't think Zerline. I said it again. Zerline has a job. The Jets tried out 3 kickers today, so
I don't blame. Yeah, he missed so many field goals.
Are you looking at something for that question, Kev?
On what? This one?
No, the kicker one.
If I actually had to choose one, it would be probably Jake Bates.
Okay. I didn't want to start reading this off if you were gonna come back with some more kicker info. I know that's your jam now. Anime thoughts on my own 16: Burrow, Kyron, Jacobs, Tyreek, Olave, Shaheed, Goddard, Bench, B-Rob, Ramondre, D-Hop, Hunt, and Nico. Kev, you previously stated this wasn't an 0-3 team. And it's not an 0-6 team either.
It's just a brutal run out of injury and just misfortune, I guess, because Burrow started off kind of slow, wasn't great to start, but has started to play a hell of a lot better recently. Josh Jacobs has been pretty
mediocre
at best. Tyreek obviously has been hammered by the Tua. Olave has had a Rashid Shaheed problem, and now a concussion problem. Goddard's been okay for a couple of weeks while AJ Brown was out. Brian Robinson was really good until he got hurt. Ramondre, first 2 or 3 weeks were really good, and then D Hop hasn't been great. Kareem Hunt was obviously just picked up, but then you lost Nico Collins. So
Yeah, I feel like at this point you have no choice but to send Kyron away. Like you just need to like pick up some pieces. And just he's gonna fetch you a decent amount. So I would go to like the top teams, whoever has the best depth. See what I can get for Kyron. Tua should be coming back, so it obviously helps with Tyreek. No Olave, no Shaheed. So that doesn't help anything. But Goddard would have been nice to trade, but now he is out with a hammy injury, probably going to miss like 2 weeks, I would assume, at least. So really, your only your only option here is sending away Kyron or sending away Nico to one of those top teams. Someone, if you have a team that's sitting there at 5-1, 6-0, like someone that can sit on Nico, that's really going to be your only options here.
Yeah. And I saw this comment here, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. Which technically what he's saying is correct. This is how bad the tight end position is this year because this is what he scored with those 20 targets. 9.7, 5.4, and 11.1 is what Dalton Kincaid has scored off those 20 targets. So that just says just how bad the tight end position is, not how great Dalton Kincaid has been with those targets because he has went 5 for 47, 2 for 34, and 6 for 51. Right? Sure, he's the tight end 10 over, but he's also still not great. Like, there's nothing exciting about that. Like, it's just how bad the tight end position has been this year. So, just wanted to put that out there. Which I guess at the end of the day, he's still tight end 10, but it hasn't been like, and that's been the biggest thing with all the tight ends this year. Like, there hasn't been that difference maker. There's not that like, man, you have to probably besides Brock Bowers would be the best option to say that like this guy's been like a difference maker for your team. Like you've had players that have had weeks of that, but like just every single week, kind of like a player who's giving you 15, 16 fantasy points a week. That just really hasn't been the case this year. It's been really frustrating with tight ends. All right, that's what I was trying to find. Next one, Michael PPR, London, Higgins, Godwin, Neighbors. Holy. So this is going to just be I'm sitting T Higgins.
Yeah, has to be. Golly, what a nice problem to have.
I know. Tingley, what should I do about Bucky and White? Should I grab Sean Tucker too? No. I actually hate the situation because I just think because even head coach on Monday said that this is going to be probably a 3-man backfield.
God.
So I don't love it for any of them. So it sucks. But yeah. Like, I'm not telling you should drop any of them or drop them, but it's just I don't think there's anything to be excited about really at this point. Do I trade?
Wouldn't want to clog my roster with all three.
Yeah. Do I trade DK and Pickens for Reed? I don't think so.
I still want DK rest of the season over Reed.
Yeah. I traded Dobbins and Caleb for Jaden Daniels. I have Mixon, Swift, Hunt, Cup, Hill, Higgins, Kincaid. 10-man thoughts. I think it's a little much when you just because I don't really love trading for quarterbacks as much. So throwing in J.K. Dobbins, who has potentially be like a top 10 running back rest of season. But at the same time, like it's not the end of the world either. I mean, Jaden Daniels has been, top 3 or 4 quarterbacks for the most part this year.
Yeah, I think you become a little thin at running back. Just because I think Swift eventually comes back down to earth. If Clyde starts getting in the mix, then Hunt becomes very hard to trust, but 10 team, it's easier to get away with. And Caleb has been playing well, but he's also had some cake matchups the past couple weeks. I'm really curious to see what happens whenever he's facing teams that can get pressure and aren't complete Swiss cheese.
Yeah. Oh, Ryan, I traded Dobbs and Caleb.
Same.
Yep, just not really. Yep. If you put it on the teleprompter, he's gonna read it. Froggy, should I start Chase Brown or Brian Robinson? I'm going B-Rob here.
Yeah.
Evan, start Darnold or Kyler. This is easily Sam Darnold. I have Sam Darnold at QB6, I think. QB7.
Darnold.
And like I said, I have Kyler at like QB9. Just don't love it. Joel, start Douglas or Pickens at wide receiver 3.
Give me Pop.
Yeah, I think I agree. Steelers country. Let's ride. Should I start Brian Robinson or Brees? This is going to be
Brees.
I have Kyler, Amon-Ra, Terry, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, and Njoku Ridley. Do I trade Terry, Hunt, and Jacoby Myers for Gibbs, Mooney, and Christian Kirk? Yes.
Yeah, I would do that.
I mean, you're just getting the best
I mean,
player.
it's Terry for Gibbs.
Yeah, but the other factor here, though, is Pacheco's going to be coming back probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So then Hunt really drastically falls off. So that's good to kind of trade him as high as Myers gets a bump with Devontae Adams out, but Devontae Adams has been out with Jacoby Myers out, and it's not like he's been like this huge guy now. Obviously, AOC is a little bit different. We'll see how it works out there, but yes, I would want the Gibbs side for sure. Try to. This probably was a previous.
Yeah, it was. Those don't move the needle for me. AP, I think it was London.
Oh
for
yeah, that's
Kyler.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We asked if they had any other options. Yeah. To trade away Josh Allen, Monty Ayuk for CMC, Mason, and Mahomes. Thoughts? I mean, and you have Jane Daniels.
But you're taking on obviously the risk here. So if CMC pans out, we will know the answer to this at the end of the season. Like as it stands right now, I probably want the Allen Monty Ayuk side. But if CMC ends up being CMC, then you crushed.
Yeah. Especially if your team's in a really good spot and you can withstand it to wait for a few more weeks till he comes back. Peanut breath, Bijan and Higgins for Justin Jefferson and Jacobs.
Oh boy. Think about the Bijan side.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I just don't love Josh Jacobs. I don't feel great about
Yeah.
where he's at right now. So yeah. Mega brick. Full PPR start one. Judy, Juju, Pittman, or Slayton. This is gonna be another group of questions if you told me before the season. But here we are. Especially with lumped with Pittman, and I wouldn't have said Pittman. But it's easily Juju for me.
Juju over Pittman for me as well.
Yeah. If Joe Flacco was playing, then I'd have probably a different answer. But with Anthony Richardson, I just don't love it. Isaiah Dell or Hubbard at flex. It's gonna be Hubbard for me.
Hubba Bubba.
Okay, assuming I don't make any drastic trades, flex Bateman, Ray Davis, Corum, Kwani Vidal, Wright, Whittington, PPR. Should I pick up to play in place of Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I like Bateman here.
So for me, if Cooper Kupp doesn't play, I'm going to go with Whittington. So I would go Whittington here if Cooper Kupp doesn't play. But if he does, then I probably would go with Probably Kamani Vidal.
Wow.
Full PPR, Hunter Henry or Otton. This is Otton for me.
Otten.
Double down. I have Kyler, Amon-Ra, Terry, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, and Njoku, Ridley, and Nico on IR. Do I trade Terry?
We already had this
Yeah.
one.
David, starting Ty if Jones is out. Depending on your other options.
Yeah, it depends on your other options. Not a great matchup at all. But depends what else you have.
Yeah. For me overall, it's
Jimmy
just,
Jones is going to be out.
you think that he is?
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
It's just weird because he actually came back and was at practice at a limited capacity earlier in the week.
So the fact that he was downgraded.
Yeah. But even if he does, like, I just don't love the matchup against the Lions. It's just not a great matchup
Yeah.
for any of their running backs. So, yeah. It depends. I would assume also what the rest of the options were.
I'm
This is easily
assuming
Tracy.
HM plays.
Yes.
But if he doesn't, I would go Tracy.
Should I trade away Josh Jacobs? So who should I go after? I mean, really tough to do so. He really hasn't been very good.
Yeah. Maybe buy low on Waddle. Potentially.
I do like that as an option. Trying to trade buy low on the Dolphins. The Dolphins in general. Whether it's Tyreek or Waddle or HN. It's tough. Jacobs just hasn't been very good. He's been like a top 20 running back. He's been like RB 19 or 20 or something like that. Hasn't been great.
Probably doesn't get it done now that he's with Buffalo, but like Amari Cooper, maybe like if someone's looking to sell high, thinking he's not going to be a thing there.
I think your best bet it would be to just find somebody that needs a running back.
Yeah.
And see what you can do with them. Marlon, hey man, did I fuck up? I gave Chase, Godwin, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Josh Jacobs and Brock Bowers for CeeDee Lamb, Saquon, Devonta Smith, and Sam Laporta.
I mean, if Dak comes back, it is second half Dak from 2023. Probably not.
I think you gave up all of the like really solid options for players that could potentially have maybe higher ceilings, maybe, but have a lot more questions. Because CeeDee Lamb, you just talked about it, don't need to talk about it. Ayuk has not been great this year. His target share is down. I think he's had one game where he's been basically startable. Sam Laporta hasn't been great. Brock Bowers, like we said, has been like the most reliable tight end. And I don't think that's going to change after they just traded Devontae Adams. So, like, you definitely gave away like the more, and I mean, just Jamar Chase has been phenomenal lately. Chris Godwin has been a top 12 wide receiver this year. Gibbs has been really pretty solid out for the most part. I know last week wasn't as good. Josh Jacobs not so much, but you definitely took on the risk here. I will say that, but it could definitely end up paying off for you too. Oh, I think I skipped over that. My fault.
So it's just
I'm okay with dropping Ford. I just don't know if I love picking up Chandler either. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. I guess that's going.
Yeah.
Should I look to trade Garrett Wilson? My wide receivers right now are Dak, Wilson, Pickens, Jameson, and Worthy. I mean, I wouldn't. Not unless you can buy low on another wide receiver, but you're dealing with the news. I would have wanted to made the move before Davante Adams was traded there because now people are like, So
Had you known.
yeah, could have looked in a crystal ball, figured that one out.
I mean, who knows? Maybe maybe he ends up getting much cleaner looks because of Adams being on the other side, and then you could potentially look to move from after this week. But I don't think you're doing it right now.
Definitely possible.
You're gonna need him to pop off.
Yeah. Johnny, happy PR. Start Devonta Smith or Ramondre Stevenson. I'm going to go with Smitty here.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. That's tough because I really do like Ramondre this week, but I don't know if he's going to play. Canoa, start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Dell, Downs, Higgins, Waddle, Mason, PPR. So for me, it's going to be Dell and Higgins. And in the flex, I'm going to go Jordan Mason.
Yep.
I really wanted to say Downs, but I just don't get excited about it. Kicker is your jam. Yep. I mean, it is now. I guess it is. Who's the other? I can't remember who the other options were, but
I'll scroll up and find it.
not Zerline is the question.
You mean is the answer? So this was Bateman, Ray Davis, Corum, Vidal, Wright, and Whittington.
Yeah, so I think I said if Cup went out, I would go Whittington, but if not, I would go Vidal. And I say that because with Bateman, he's just frustrating, right? Because like you need the game script to go perfectly for them. Like they need to be trailing and a trailing game script for Bateman to pay off. If not, if they are able to lead in this game, which is definitely possible. I know it's a game against the Bucks, but if that's the case, then it just really lowers Rashad Bateman's ceiling. Where I think Vidal's, no matter what, is going to mix in. He's going to see touches. He's going to see, probably 8 to 10 touches, something like that. And if he can find the end zone on one of them, I think he can get it done.
And I'm going Bateman because of the game environment, the projected game environment.
Yeah. And then thoughts on Spears when he gets back. I think that he's just been super frustrating this year. Thought this is going to be more of a 50-50 split. It really hasn't been that, but he's also been dealing with a lot of injuries. So I think he's harder to trust. And honestly, when it comes to hamstrings, they're something that tend to reoccur. So that's why I think that would worry me there.
Yeah.
So would you trade Dowdle for Pickens half-point PPR? I probably would lean Dowdle at this point, honestly. I mean,
yep.
And then play Higgins, Tracy, or Gibson this week. Half-point PPR is easily pop Douglas. I would say Tracy if I knew the situation with with the Devin Singletary stuff. If Devin Singletary missed, it's easily Tyrone Tracy. But if he was to play, that's where I would go pop Douglas.
Yeah.
Start Bigsby or Mason full PPR. This is going to be Mason.
Mason.
All right. We come to that time where that is the last question I see. Vidal rest of season, I think this is the role he's going to continue to play. Just because of, I think Gus Edwards is cooked. And then so I think I don't think we ever get to a point where it's like J.K. Dobbins is out there playing 80, 90% of the snaps or like 70 or 80% of the snaps. He's going to continue to be somebody that plays a little bit less of the snaps and giving more opportunities to other running backs because of his injury history and the injury he's coming off of. And so I do think Vidal, Kamani Vidal is somebody we could definitely look to stash. It's somebody that could have standalone value on a week-to-week basis, in my opinion. So that being said, that is the last question. So let's go ahead and get out of here. It has been another fun week. I really love this weekend's slate of games. But We'll be back in tomorrow to do the DFS show with Ryan and Maddie for this week, and then from there, back again on Sunday for the Sunday morning show to answer more questions. We'll have all the answers to the test by then, or at least of who's in and who's out for the most part. And then from there, back again for what will be Week 8 waivers. For ahead of this week on Sunday night. So that being said, keep it locked in here. We will see you guys on the next one. Bye.